The men of the Empire could be said to live in a state of perpetual, but justifiable, terror. Beasts that walk like men haunt the woods, relentless in their pursuit of man-flesh. Warbands of green-skinned brutes roam where they please, destroying whatever they encounter. Unquiet dead haunt the mountainous foothills of Sylvania, while merciless elven corsairs harry coastal villages. The needlessly superstitious even believe rumors of rat-like mutants dwelling beneath their very feet. Worst of all, there are the blasphemous warriors of the north. Clad in demonic armor and wielding ensorcelled blades, these slaves to darkness descend from Norsca and the eastern steppes to spread death and despair in the name of their dark gods. Be they Norse, Kurgan, or Hung, ruin inevitably follows in their footsteps. With such dangers, it's difficult to blame the doomsayers that scream about the end of days in every imperial town and village. Yet in some ways, the Empire should count itself lucky, for these Chaos Worshippers are among the least of their kind. Even further to the north, on the bleeding edges of reality, dwell the most powerful of the Dark God's servants. These tribes are ruthless fighters, only battling the worthiest of adversaries. Many consider the men of the Empire, Kislev, and Bretonnia as weaklings, barely worth bloodying their blades for. Instead, these northernmost Chaos Warriors prey upon the most dangerous game: other Chaos tribes. While several northern cultures engage in this inter-chaos predation, the most infamous among them are the horrendously mutated warriors known as the Tong. Few things can strike fear into the heart of a Kurgan warrior, but even the mention of the Tong can quicken their pulse. According to Kurgan storytellers, the Tong mysteriously appeared on the western border of the eastern steppes nearly 300 years before the modern day. They swept through Kurgan territory like a wildfire through a prairie. Many Kurgan tribes attempted to repel the Tong, but their efforts were in vain. Countless tribes were obliterated, and even more weakened by their wars with the Tong, leaving them easy picking for greenskins and other chaos bands. To many Kurgan, this was unthinkable. They were the true gods' chosen people, despoilers of the Empire, the inevitable ruin of Kislev, nemesis of Grand Cathay. Nothing could stand against them. Yet here was a force even more dangerous than themselves. The Tong's success stemmed from their relentless battle frenzy. Inured to fear and pain, these warriors tore through enemy lines without concern for their own safety. They would throw themselves upon enemy swords and spears if it let them rip out their opponent's throat with their dying breath. In the face of such insane ferocity, even the Kurgan could only retreat or die. Rumor quickly spread amongst the nomadic tribes that the Tong were nothing less than demons in mortal form, some punishment or test from the Dark Gods. Then, just as suddenly as they had appeared, the Tong disappeared. Some claim they went back to whence they came, while others say they passed like a thunderstorm on the steppe. Whatever the case, it would be another century before the Tong menaced the realms of mortals once more. The Tong were seen again in 2303 IC, when Azavar led a great host of Chaos Warriors south to destroy the lands of Elves, Men, and Dwarfs. The Tong rallied to his banner, but rather than follow the 12th ever chosen into Kislev, they turned south into the darklands. There they warred with wandering tribes of Chaos Worshippers once more. Some warbands had heard of the Tong's ferocity and wisely fled before them. Others had not, and rode forth to pledge their swords to the Tong, only to be cut down as they offered their hands in friendship. Once more the Tong sought out the greatest Chaos Warriors they could find, and butchered them like animals. By the end, there wasn't a Kurgan tribe in the Darklands that hadn't been driven before the Tong's merciless warpath. When they ran out of Kurgan to battle, the Tong turned their attention to the Greenskins and Hobgoblin tribes that called the Darklands home. Curiously, despite their activities in the Darklands, there is no mention of battles between the Tong and Dawi Zar. Perhaps the Chaos Dwarfs were too far south for the Tong to reach, or their Dark Masters decreed the inhabitants of Zar Nagrun be left to work their evil in peace. Whatever the reason, after 5 years of unrelenting slaughter, the Tong turned around and marched north once more without explanation. They did so unchallenged, for there were none left to challenge them. Since then, the Tong nation has remained hidden, only rarely descending from the northernmost Chaos Wastes. When Tong warriors are seen, however, their dedication to the Dark Gods is readily apparent. Living as close to the shattered polar gates as they do, every Tong bears the marks of a hard life and hideous mutation, and they are said to be the most extensively warped of all Chaos tribes. Several of their warbands have joined the occasional incursion into civilized lands, but the full might of the Tong tribe hasn't been seen since their incursion into the darklands, nearly 200 years ago. It seems that, for now at least, they are content to fade into Kurgan myth once more. Still, the wild horsemen keep the tales of the savages who have more in common with demons than men alive, told around roaring campfires and from horseback. Sigmar helped the men of the Empire if the full might of the Tong ever decides to hunt prey that isn't dedicated to chaos, for no amount of steel, faith, and gunpowder could withstand such reckless hate. As near as I can tell, the Tong don't have a presence within Total War Warhammer. They aren't on the Immortal Empire's map, nor are they present in the Realms of Chaos. I think, as of right now, the Tong are overlooked in-game, though that could always change as new characters and factions are added. With that, we've finished our overview of the Tong, one of the most dangerous chaos cultures in the Warhammer world. Compared to the Norse, Kurgan, and to lesser extent Hung, the Tong don't have much established lore. Considering what we do know about them, this isn't terribly surprising. Factions that are east of the World's Edge Mountains get precious little information on them, and the Tong's role as Chaos Warrior antagonists means they don't have many interactions with other army books. Still, what little knowledge we do have is intriguing. The Tong present a mystery in the Warhammer world, one that doesn't have an obvious explanation like some of the others. Where did they initially come from? Their first appearance is fairly recent, making their sudden arrival on the western edges of Kurgan territory odd. If they had just come from the far north, that would be one thing, but it's clear that they initially came from a roughly equal latitude to the Kurgan and Hung. If that was the case, they should have been fighting Dark Elves in Grand Cathay for centuries, if not millennia. Additionally, why do they only hunt other Chaos Worshippers and Greenskins? So far, empirically speaking, the Tong have been a net positive for the forces of order by systematically culling the Kurgan twice in the past 300 years. They may have even delayed the next Chaos invasion to the modern day, wiping out rogue bands of Chaos Worshippers immediately following Asavar Kul's defeat in the Great War against Chaos. I have some hypotheses for why this might be, but I'd be curious to hear what you guys think in the comments down below. Also, if you liked this video, be sure to thank the longtime viewer Memes of Warhammer. I kinda forgot I had promised to make this video, and they kindly reminded me of it in my last video about Varric's Reavers. I'm not saying you should expect every demand to be answered that way, but this was a fun video to research and write at the very least. It was also pretty easy to put together, which is always appreciated, so I think I owe them a debt of gratitude for that at the very least. That's all for today though, so until next time, this has been Sigmar is Chosen, signing off for now.